Hi, rewatchers. Welcome back to another mail day. It has been quite a little while actually since I've recorded one of these. I think I did one like shortly after Black Friday, and then for the holidays, it was pretty hard to record just anything. Hopefully, Trey and I will be having some new videos coming out together soon, and there will be some new movie memorabilia tour. But like I said, today we've got another mail day, and it is a massive one since early mid-December. Just anything that's come in, and it's mid-January now, I've just been holding on to. So without further ado, I guess let's go ahead and hop into it, see what all we have here, because I genuinely have no idea. All right, first things first. This is from Australia. All right. So in a mail day a couple times ago, we talked about Humphrey Bogart. And here we go. We actually have another Humphrey Bogart movie. This is one of his famous films with Katharine Hepburn, The African Queen. This actually came, like I said, I think it came from Australia, even though I believe this is actually a UK release. This is the only version I'm aware of that is in 4K, and it actually has a slipcover as well. So I have seen this movie, but I haven't seen it since I was very young. I think I may have been less than 10 actually the last time I saw it. So I don't really remember a whole lot about it. So that's definitely one I'm looking forward to seeing again and catching up with, and seeing some more Humphrey Bogart. All right. Ah, okay. So we have another movie. I believe this came from either the late 90s or the early 2000s. It's one of the first starring roles I remember The Rock being in, and it is actually The Scorpion King in 4K. I have never owned a copy of this. Matter of fact, I saw it in the theater when it first came out, and I haven't seen it since. I remember in The Mummy 2, he was the Scorpion King in that, and it had some just awful CGI at the end of the movie with him like being superimposed into like a CGI scorpion monster thing. So I don't remember the effects and CGI being particularly bad in this. This was closer to a Conan movie, a sword and sorcery kind of thing. So I'm actually really looking forward to watching this. I didn't even realize this was released in 4K in the States. Honestly, I had been looking at German media books, and I came very close to getting one because they had some really awesome covers. And then just by accident, wound up seeing this, and it was like literally half the money. And for what I remembered the movie to be, I think I just went ahead and decided to go ahead this route just in case it's not as good as I remember it being. Which, like I said, I don't remember it being fantastic to start with, but I do remember it being watchable and being enjoyable. And it also had Michael Clark Duncan in it, who is from the Green Mile, and I think he was in Daredevil as the Kingpin. And he's passed, but I remember really liking him a lot around the time when these movies were coming out, and he was a pretty good actor. So hopefully we'll have fond memories and good catching up there. All right, let's see what else we have here. Ah, okay. So, in April in Australia, Umbrella is releasing some super like limited edition releases of a couple of movies that I was interested in. One of them is Daybreakers. I've never seen that movie before, and it's going to have a 4K release. Now, there is a 4K release of that here stateside, and it's kind of like what I just mentioned with Scorpion King, it's only like a $10 or $15 versus like a $70 or more plus shipping from Umbrella. So I may wind up catching up with it with that 4K. But this is also a movie that I've been interested in for a while. It is a Christopher Smith movie, and it is Black Death with Eddie Redmayne and Sean Bean. And I don't know a whole lot about this other than the fact that it is a Magnet movie. And here recently, especially, I've actually really been kind of getting into more Magnet movies. They're more outside the scope of regular Hollywood movies. They're a little more low budget in a lot of cases, but they've got some pretty good action movies and stuff like that. But again, this was like $8 or something like that from a Goodwill somewhere, as opposed to like a 55 or $60 version that's going to be coming from Australia. But it was one of those things that because of that release coming out in Australia, it made me interested to see what we had here and what it was going for. And I don't think it had much of any features on the Australian version that's coming out different than this. So that'll be a neat one to catch up with whenever we get an opportunity. And it's got kind of a pretty neat little slipcover there. It's got kind of some foiling and stuff on the regular case. So that if you're going to do a slipcover, that's the kind of stuff I like because it is in fact the same artwork that is on the Blu-ray, but at least there is something different about it. I can't stand when the slipcover is just a regular piece of cardboard and it looks exactly the same as just the Blu-ray does. All right, let's see what we've got next. Okay, so this is interesting. So this is actually another one that I bought from eBay on a Goodwill, and it was like $6, and I'm kind of seeing why. So this is a Ty West movie called The Innkeepers. It's a ghost story, and ghost stories are some of my favorite horror films, and this is one that I haven't seen and I don't know a whole lot about, but I'd like to catch up with it. But just, I mean, seeing it out of the package, I can tell you a few things about it. I don't know that you can see it there, but this is like 88 bright white, like copy paper printed. This is not, I mean, it's got some pretty bad cutting. Like you can see the white there. Um, so you can see the white here where they didn't cut it very well. The case has got a pretty good dent in it. So this was definitely oh man, and we have a rental sticker from Family Video, one of the last video stores that I'm aware of existing. I actually used to buy stuff from Family Video. So man, there is no telling how old this is and how many plays it may or may not have got. It actually looks really clean. That's really good because the case is not. So, but yeah, there you go. I know not terribly long ago we talked about another Ty West movie, The House of the Devil, which is also another one I haven't seen. I actually really haven't seen a whole lot of Ty West. I've seen um, X and I've seen Pearl, and then he had a segment of the anthology movie VHS, and I've seen VHS, which I really really liked. And his segment, honestly, I thought was one of the weaker segments, but it was still good. I like just about every part of VHS I really enjoyed, except for the frame story, like the actual VHS playing and like the zombie house or whatever. It just didn't really have a good cohesive narrative to try and explain. There was so much weird stuff happening that never really had an explanation. I didn't really care for that too much. But the other stuff, like the stories on the VHS, were pretty good, and I really enjoyed that a lot. Ooh, now this is cool. This is from Germany and I am really interested in this. So I've talked on the channel before about how really at the end of the day, I'm a pretty big fan of found footage movies. And this is a found footage movie that to my knowledge, it's the only one of its kind. It's Where and so what this is this is a found footage werewolf movie where I believe what happens is there's a murder and there is this lawyer, if I'm not mistaken, who comes in to defend the guy that's the suspect. And then it just winds up being is he actually a werewolf or not, with all that's going on. And that's really cool. I'm really looking forward to seeing this. And I think this is the only way. There's this, and then there's a German media book. I think is the only way that you can get them on physical media. I don't believe it's released anywhere else. Let's see what else we got here. All right, we got another one from the UK, and I can already tell you this is a tragedy in the making. So I know absolutely nothing about this title except the title, which highly interests me. So this is a UK release from BFI, as seen on the BBC, Ghost Stories for Christmas. And I ordered it well before Christmas, hoping I would get it before Christmas. Because kind of like I just said with the Innkeepers, I really like ghost stories. It's some of my favorite horror. But one thing to notice here is this is volume two. So volume one, I ordered it the exact same time that I ordered this, and I ordered it from Rare Waves on eBay. So this one clearly I have received, and I knew I'd received it because some of these I did open just kind of to make sure that that it was what it's supposed to be, although some of them I really haven't looked at, but this was one I did because it came from UK. And I could tell that it was supposed to have two titles in it, but it only had one. And so they shipped the other one in a separate shipment than this, and currently it is lost in the mail. Now, for anybody in this area in Palmetto / Atlanta, Georgia, USPS has got a major backup. And unfortunately, this is one of the things that I hope is caught up in it because it hasn't moved for a while. And I really would like to get it. I don't want to have to try and get another copy from the UK and try and deal with that. Okay, so next, this is from Shout, apparently. All right. So this is a tube with two posters in it, and it is for John Carpenter's Vampires, the limited edition. So we can see there's one poster there, and then there's the original art there that was for the original poster. So that's like I guess a Shout Screen Factory original art that they've commissioned. And then the other was the original art. And then you've also got the new limited edition 4K release that it comes with the original slipcover on it, which is the exact same art as the disc or the 4K case, which I've already told you I don't like. And we talked about that with Hush. And then here is the other slipcover with the new art. So I can assure you that this will be going on here immediately. And I haven't seen Vampire since like 98 or 99. I never got it on Blu-ray. I did have it on DVD, directed by John Carpenter. I don't remember this thing being fantastic. It's got James Woods in it, and it's got one of the Baldwin brothers, the one that was kind of a little bit bigger than the others. And Thomas Ian Griffin, if I remember correctly, was the main vampire. He's a tall, kind of big guy. Is it Daniel Baldwin maybe that was the bigger Baldwin? That was the only thing in the shout box. So anyway, but I'm looking forward to watching that again and seeing that with new eyes and good 4K physical media. Okay, this is from Vinegar Syndrome. So this was stuff that I ordered during Black Friday, and it took a while for this to get here because it didn't come in until I don't even know if it was a week ago. So I mean, it took a solid like 6 weeks or more for this order to come in. And this is all still in bubble wrap. I don't even know. I got an idea what's in here, but what is the best way for me to do this? I guess I'm just going to put these here and we're going to try and do it one at a time. All right. So first, I imagine this was a very sought after bought piece, and it is the limited edition version of the Keep in 4K. So I believe this may have been Michael Mann's first movie. I'm not 100% sure on that. If it wasn't his first movie, it was very early in his movie career. Um, it is not great. It is a movie that it came out on VHS and it came out on Laserdisc, but it didn't get a release on DVD or Blu-ray. So it had skipped several generations of physical media before finally coming out on 4K from Vinegar Syndrome. And it's gorgeous. I mean, this is an absolutely gorgeous case. It's got a good cast. It's got Scott Glenn and Jurgen Prochnow and oh my gosh, the guy's name is escaping me that was in End of Days, Gabriel Byrne and Stigmata. Um, it it really was a good cast. It was originally like Michael Mann is a fantastic director. I think because this was so early in his filmmaking career, I wonder if he just didn't have the clout yet to make the movie the way it needed to be made. You know, there's there is conjecture or legend or myth or whatever you want to call it. There's like a 3 hour version of that movie. It's based on a novel, and it has a completely different ending in the novel than it has in the actual movie. They changed it because the 80s you had like Michael Myers and you had Freddy and you had Jason, you had all these iconic kind of monster villain things, and the producers wanted that in the Keep, even though that wasn't the story at all. And so by the end of the movie, you wind up having this monster monkey creature thing, that really, they just kind of retcon the story to include, and it kind of doesn't really make a lot of sense. Um, the setup of the movie's great. The feel of the movie's great. Like the cinematography of the movie's great. It just the parts don't equal the sum for it to be a good movie. And again, it sounds like there was probably a lot of producer interference that, especially now, we know Michael Mann is an extremely capable filmmaker. So I feel very confident that that's what the problem was. All right, next we have Cannibal, the musical, written and directed by Trey Parker of South Park fame. So this is another one that, um, it skips some generations. It was shot on film, but it was edited on VHS. So there's not, film elements out there for them to have actually made. Is this a Blu-ray or is this a 4K? It is a Blu-ray. Excuse me. For them to have made the Blu-ray from, they actually had to go back to VHS elements and try and put the Blu-ray together from that. So I'm really, really, really curious what the quality of the actual transfer is going to be. Now you can tell like these the extra materials are fantastic. I mean, the case, the cover, the rigid slipcase, the book. I mean, this is all fantastic. I've never seen this movie. This came out before South Park, if I'm not mistaken. They had a few like Orgasmo, that came out, and Orgasmo's hilarious. Um, I, I've never, like I said, I've never seen this, so I look forward to seeing it, and can only imagine like with them making South Park the movie a musical and this being a musical, which is based loosely on a real person, that during the 1800s was a cannibal, out around the Colorado area. I'm sure it's going to be interesting. I look forward to watching it because I love South Park. South Park is one of my favorite shows of all time. And so I can only imagine that at worst case scenario, it's going to be a historical ride in movie history. Okay, next. This is a neat thing here. So this movie, again, kind of like The Keep. I don't remember it being the greatest movie ever, but I did enjoy it. And back in the early mid '90s, Michael Crichton was just, I mean, his books were just blowing up. I mean, he was making movies left and right. Because of Jurassic Park and how good Steven Spielberg did adapting that to a movie and how good the special effects were and just the spectacle of what it was. So this movie, Congo, is another movie that is based on a Michael Crichton novel of the same name. And this is another limited edition version. Very, very, very nice case. This is very similar to the case that Beastmaster's in that I've shown before on the Magical Movie Memorabilia Tour. And so the basic gist I remember from this is it had Tim Curry in it, which I love. It had Ernie Hudson in it. And it had like gorillas with lasers on them. That's kind of it. So I'm really looking forward to kind of revisiting this again. Now, when this came out, it's not exactly cheap, to get a lot of these special editions and stuff. But I looked, and I guess the Blu-ray for this thing is old and out of print. And it kind of surprised me. It might not be now, but at the time, before I ordered this, the Blu-ray was actually going for more money than this 4K set was. So I decided, well, if that's the case, I'm just going to go ahead and buy the 4K. And so that's what I did, and that's where we are. So I'm hoping the movie is, at least watchable from what I can remember, and we get a pleasurable viewing of monkeys with lasers on them. And that's Congo. All right, next. Oh, now this is interesting. Talking of Beastmaster, here we go. We've actually, oh man, this has got plastic on it. Well, dadgum. I'm not going to be able to open this like I did the other stuff. The other stuff, the actual case for the Blu-ray and or 4K, had plastic wrap on it, but as you saw, the limited edition cases themselves did not. So I was able to open them up and look at them. But um, DeGosser Video is a new sub-label of Vinegar Syndrome, and they are just kind of putting out memorabilia just in general. And a lot of what they are focusing on is VHS type stuff, either VHS material to Blu-ray, trying to make it the best it can be, and or putting material back on the VHS and making limited edition VHSs out of them. And that's what we have here is we have a limited edition VHS of the Beastmaster. And so this is a movie that absolutely would have been released on VHS at some point in time, which I don't know if you can actually see the size of this thing, try and get a comparison, but this thing is actually pretty massive. Um, and this thing is actually supposed to have like an LED set in it that would light up around the VHS tape. And I mean, the pictures they had of it look really, really, really cool. So, I've got a pretty big display in my theater room up here of just of movie memorabilia in general, which is how we wound up going down the Magical Movie Memorabilia Tour. And this was really just something that I wanted to add to the movie memorabilia. It was something that I thought would look really good on the wall. Um, Now I have to make a decision if I'm actually going to open it or not. I almost wish I didn't have that decision. I kind of just wish it didn't have the plastic on it where I could open it up and look at it, but oh well. Okay, so that seems to be everything from Vinegar Syndrome. What else we got here? All right, now we've got something from Australia. So that means Umbrella. Let's see what we got here. All right. So the first is a limited edition version of Last Stop in Yuma County. And this is one of those like limited edition numbered versions. Um, so this is 195 out of 500. And this was one that I just took a flyer on. Um, I can't even remember. I can't even remember what this was about. I think maybe it was something where somebody did a bank robbery and then they wound up going to Yuma County and wound up running into some other bank robbers or something, and it winds up becoming a cat and mouse game. I really don't know, but I remember when I read about it and looked up the score on the IMDb, it got a fairly decent score, and it sounded like a fairly interesting movie. So sorry about that, my throat's drying out. And so I was like, this sounds interesting enough. I think I'm going to go ahead and grab it. And there's a certain dollar amount you've kind of got to spend to get free shipping from Australia, and so that got me there. And so that's kind of that. All right, now this is a movie I'm like mega excited for. It is another limited edition set from Umbrella, and it is a Japanese horror film that had an American remake with Kristen Bell, I believe, was in it, who is Anna from Frozen. I'm sure everybody knows about that movie, and it is Pulse. All right, so this is like I said, a Japanese film. It's one of those movies from the early 2000s that dealt with electricity and the internet, if I remember correctly, where it was kind of like there was a ghost in the machine. Um, I honestly didn't hate the American remake, if I'm going to be honest. It gets pretty panned pretty bad, but I have seen this before, and I remember liking this better, but it was at least 20 years ago. There's somewhere thereabouts. I mean, it would have been one of those things after it was released, came to the US, and I was able to watch it. I watched it and I have very fond memories of watching it. So this is one I wanted to catch up with again. This is the first time it was released on 4K. And again, like this is actually a really big box. I don't know if there's something I can grab like super quick to kind of show some of the variants here, but like there's like a normal 4K to the size of the box, and it's got a book in there. It's got some art cards and it's got some other stuff. It's actually fairly heavy too, and it's got a very, very nice rigid box on it. And this is number 768 of 2000. All right, looks like there's maybe two more to go. Okay, so this is another movie that I'm aware of, but I haven't seen it. And it is an Australian film. It hasn't been released in the States, to my knowledge. This is the only way that you can get it. And it is Bird Eater. So there is a movie called Revenge that, if I'm not mistaken, was a French film that I really enjoyed, where there's like a vacation stag party where there's actually a rape of the female protagonist, and she's left for dead out kind of in, I don't know, like Spain or wherever they took their vacation. And I think this is something in that similar vein, where you've got kind of like a stag party or a fiance or something like that, where something goes wrong and she winds up getting trapped out in the outback, and it's a survival film. And that's kind of up my alley for horror movies and that kind of stuff. And with it being an Australian film, and this is the only way you can get it, I look forward to that. All right, and I've got one more here that, man, this is wrapped up good. All right, this is another 4K limited edition release from Umbrella. And I think this is actually going to be the last one. It was actually taped to the case. That's why it was so hard. Okay. So this is a movie from the 60s, if I'm not mistaken. It's called Eyes Without a Face, and it is a French film. And so this is a movie where a French doctor gets into a car accident, and it's either his wife or his daughter is disfigured to the point that they no longer have a face. And he is working on surgical procedures to try and reapply a face to her. And this is a movie that has influenced a lot of horror films after it, including like Goodnight Mommy, which is actually another movie that I've spoken on the channel before in a mail day. And so this gets great reviews on IMDb. It is a classic horror film, and it is a 4K release, limited edition. It's number 440 out of 2000. And so this is another one that I haven't seen, that I figured if I was going to watch it, if I wanted to watch it, this is the only way to get it in 4K. That was how I was going to do it. So, okay, that's it. I think I have actually gotten through all the boxes. So, what that means, we have gotten to the end of our mail day. And if you like this content, please leave a message. Let me know if there were any of those releases in particular that interest you, something that you would like to hear me talk about, maybe do a review of, any of that kind of stuff, follow up on it. Or if you don't like this content, leave a message about that. Give us some direction on the kind of stuff you would like to see. Um, if you would, please like and subscribe to the channel as well, so we can continue to grow and we can continue to make good content that's unique and for movie cinephiles out there. All right, so that's it, rewatchers. We have hit the end of the VHS tape. We got to hit that rewind button and get to the video store. Have a good one.